being in the boatyard sucks. We have to do the scary demolition phase.
I think they know we're clueless and they're all coming to help us because we look so pitiful.
It's always a scary thing to be making holes in the boat. And I drop it on the gravel and ruin the whole thing.
And at 1 in the morning, I got woken up to a really loud bang.
We're foster carers now for a baby tortoise.
I'm not sure if we're being paid off by drug barons.
I've now graduated from Don's school of fiberglassing, so
You can't make this stuff up. Last time on Red Seas, we arrived into Trinidad, were boarded by the Coast Guard, who actually turned out to be very helpful, when later that night we were hit by a Venezuelan fishing vessel. Indy came off a little bit worse for wear, but luckily we hauled out the very next day to set up home here in the boatyard.
we got straight down to work, exploring the damage to our keels from when we ran aground a few months ago. We had to figure out how to take both keels off, so we got creative when we lowered the first one, got lucky when we had just enough space to remove it, got help when it was too heavy to lift, and then got frustrated when the second one wouldn't budge. Now we've got a few weeks on the hard, and it's time to actually get on with the process of fixing them. Okay, so everybody knows that being in the boatyard sucks. Nobody likes it. It is hot, it is sticky, it is dirty, there is loads of work to be done, and none of it is very enjoyable. However, we seem to have this incredibly lucky habit of meeting amazing people in boatyards. So last year we made a whole bunch of really good friends. They gave us a place to live when we were homeless. We've stayed in touch with them, we've sailed with them, and that has been great. And this year in Trinidad, we have had help from literally everybody that we've met. All of the people who work in the yard, people that we've just randomly bumped into. Of course, being us, we have bitten off more than we can chew with the boat projects that we're trying to get done in these couple of weeks that we're out.
I think they know we're clueless and they're all coming to help us because we look so pitiful.
We do, we're so helpless.
We're so helpless. It's ridiculous. We're like, glue not working, help. And then like 10 people turn up and tell us how to make glue. It's really nice. Sorry, back to what you're saying.
Yeah, so having done a little bit of fiberglass for our water maker, I was very confident that I could fix our keels. And when other people who knew what they were doing heard about this, they were quite worried for our safety. Before we can really start the repairs process, we have to do the scary demolition phase. So we've flipped the whole thing upside down. There's been some grounding on the bottom and some cracks into the fiberglass, so we're just going to have to grind all of that area out and then decide if we can just fill it with epoxy or if we have to lay some more fiberglass up. As you've seen, I've only done fiberglassing once when we were doing our water maker, so I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm hoping that it's kind of minimal. But yeah, scary phase is about to begin. So I've ground out all of the areas now that had any kind of cracking or damage. So I just need to wash it out and then I can start filling it back up with epoxy or maybe some fiberglass if it needs it. But yeah, we're making progress. It's always a scary thing to be making holes in the boat. Did not enjoy that. So I've actually got our old life raft tray full of different testers of epoxy. So I've got like different types of epoxy, different brands. I've got different fillers from microfibers to micro balloons to milled fibers, whatever they are. I have no idea. They're all done at different times. They're all setting differently. So some of them are kind of like spongy and flexible, which, you know, I did not think is really what I'm aiming for. Some of them are setting much harder. I've got some down in the strip here, which is just, yeah, it's kind of rubbery. Again, don't think it should be doing that. So I'm trying to get everything sorted before we actually get into the building of this keel. With some useful advice and lots of helping hands from other people in the yard, we eventually got the epoxy to cure properly and we got straight on with filling in the damaged section at the bottom of the keel. As is our way, we used all the proper tools and created a really smooth and professional finish. When that was done, our friend Don came around to teach us how to lay fiberglass properly so that we could fix the bolt holes.
So all we're doing here is preparing the fiberglass pieces to put onto the repair. Yeah, this is biaxial fiberglass.
Biaxial, okay. It's different to what we've seen before, because this is actually stitched together.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. I was saying the old type is woven roving, where the fiberglass goes up and down like this.
Yeah, and it's almost like someone took lots of fibers and threw them together and
yeah, but it collects a lot of resin and it just gets very heavy for the weight.
Right, okay, that
Whereas
makes sense.
this is just, yeah. So that's, how many do we have to do? 12?
12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So what does the 1708 mean?
It means there's 17 ounces of the fiberglass, the 45, and there's 8 ounces of the mat.
Ah, okay. It's like the ratio of the weight.
It's just the ratio of it, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is. That's the triaxial, that's with another layer going, I think I showed you. Going,
Oh, yeah, with
so
the
you have
third
these
layer
two
on.
layers, then you have a triaxial goes like this.
Uh-huh. And is that the type of fiberglass that would be used for a complete hull?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's what we built the hulls out of, the triaxial.
Okay, yeah.
So this is biaxial, that's triaxial.
So on the inside of each bolt hole, we're going to put a rectangle of fiberglass in behind, 2 layers deep. And then on the front, where there's these little kind of D shapes, we've cut, hopefully that'll fit just nicely inside. It still has to have space for the bolt to be done up and undone around it, but that should work out quite well just to fit in nicely there. And we can trim it down if we have to afterwards.
Just ease it down, go back a bit. So we're just going to start off with a little bit and see how it goes, all right?
Yeah,
Right, so we just wet those out like that, see? So it's easy to wet out there.
yeah.
All right. And then just put a little bit here too. And what we're going to do is just to put it up a little bit so that it comes into, because it's shaped like this going down. Okay, so and we want to get it now to go down around that little bump there. Right, nice. So what I'm going to do is to put this one on here now.
Oh, one more.
Okay, yeah. So it actually doesn't. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Did I cut this wrong? Ah, that's it. And then we could just put epoxy down in the slot.
Yeah.
Especially if we get this to go down here properly, which might give it a little trouble.
Oh, we didn't cut the corner of that one, did we?
I didn't. I thought it would go down.
Yeah.
It's not going to go down. So, or is it going to go down? Okay, we cut it. Oh, shucks. All right. Really, I'm not going to do it.
It's where it all goes wrong.
No. It's easy. Can't go wrong. Rioni knows what she's doing.
And I drop it on the gravel and ruin the whole thing.
That's it. Nice. Perfect. So just use a glove to make sure that there's no, like this, that there's no bubbles that are trapped in there. So it's just easy to do it out like that, yeah. And just bring it all the way up there. Right.
Just feels like it keeps lifting, like.
Yeah, but it might lift a little bit. It's hard because you know the glass is trying to stay straight. But that's fine. And as I said, afterwards we could always just put a little resin down in there just to take up the little gap, if there is a gap.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's really good. That's perfect. Yeah. You can't do anything better than that.
So that's it. We've put on all of the back pieces of fiberglass now, so we need to leave them to set and cure overnight. Then tomorrow we can roll it onto its side, fill the gap with epoxy, and then put the little front piece on. So far it's looking good. Fingers crossed it sets okay. Okay, what just happened?
You can't make this stuff up. Okay, so I don't know if we explained this already, but when we first arrived, we came down from SVG overnight. We took a mooring ball at like 10 in the morning, and we were super tired, but we managed to stay up till about 9. Then went to bed, and at 1 in the morning, I got woken up to a really loud bang, which is quite scary. So we're on this mooring ball in a mooring field. I jump out on deck to find a Venezuelan fishing boat has, of course, clashed against both our bows and then scratched its way all the way down the side of Indy. And I actually ran to the back step as the boat, once it came around the back of Indy, it started to come towards Indy. It was going to ride up the back of Indy. So I'm pushing this boat off in the middle of the night, trying to get their attention, and they wouldn't communicate with me. And then they lifted their anchor and disappeared into the darkness. So we thought, bummer, we've got to do all the official stuff. So we spoke to the Coast Guard, the police, the boatyard, everybody, and kind of logged the reports. Thinking, fine, we'll have to do an insurance thing. So we emailed insurance and said, look, we're coming on to the hard. Can we get it fixed? And they said, yeah, that sounds like an insurance claim. You've done all you can, just contact the other boat's insurance. Just as we read that email, a guy comes wandering through the yard who's got kind of broken English, and he's from Venezuela. And he says, hi, I speak to the lady who owns the boat. that got involved in the accident, and she doesn't want any trouble. So if you could just tell us how much, we'll pay you off. And then you don't have to do insurance, and you can tell the Coast Guard that you're okay and they won't arrest anyone on the boat and da-da. So I'm happy enough to do this outside of insurance, but we are now in that weird situation where I'm not sure if we're being paid off by drug barons. I don't know if we're meant to say yes, or if that then means we owe the family, and I don't know what the story is. So yeah, we have to have a bit of a think before we just accept the money that they've generously offered to repair the boat.
Did they offer to pay in money or powder?
He talked about powder at one point, but I didn't understand it. But so long as there's no concrete shoes involved, I don't mind. That would be my other concern. But yeah, an odd turn of events. So India has a bit more patchwork to do that we weren't planning to do in the yard, and we might get paid off by Venezuelan drug money. So just your standard Monday, really.
I've now graduated from Don's school of fiberglassing, so he has left me to it. So we've done all of the bolt holes on one side, and there's just 3 on this top that I need to finish off. I've put a little layer of fiberglass into the gap where the broken part was, and now all I need to do is lay a little bit, the tricky bit, on the front here, just to give it that tiny last little bit of strength. I don't want to put too much on because obviously they are sacrificial and they need to be able to break away. So I'm just trying to get that window of opportunity right so that it's strong enough to hold the keel on, but not too strong enough that it can't break off. So yeah, final little bit now. Just need to lay this front piece on, get it all into the corners, and then sand it back. And I think we should be good to put these back on. These are just so fiddly with all these little corners. And hopefully that'll just tuck in nicely.
Why are you so happy?
Just look at this. We're foster carers now. We're a baby tortoise.
She's hiding away in there.
She's so cute.
Like a little bit freaked out right now. I think new home, new habitats.
Yeah.
So what's the deal?
So another boat in the yard has this tiny pet tortoise, but they're getting some work done on their boat where it's being fumigated. So they were like, yeah, probably not the best environment for anything else that's alive. So they asked if we could look after her for a couple of days. I am more than happy to oblige.
Yeah, so we're going to look after Penny and a couple of their houseplants as well, which I'm actually more nervous about the houseplants because I can't keep any plants alive. So they may come back to some soil, but hopefully we can keep the tortoise alive at the very least. It's only a few days. What could go wrong? Unsurprisingly, we know very little about tortoises. And Penny was about the size of the palm of your hand. Very quickly, after we gave her some lunch, we discovered that they enjoy pushing things around. That's when they're having a good time, so we let her loose on our table, gave her a little bit more lunch, and discovered that she absolutely loved avocado. So basically, tortoise love pushing stuff around and eating. Sounds like a pretty good life to me. So it's not the nicest of days. The rain has turned up again just over lunchtime here, but it is time to finally fit the keels, or at least one of them, depending how we get on. We have to take what is the big heavy keel that normally hangs underneath each of the hulls. We have to drag it across, carry it across underneath one of the hulls, lift it up, position it perfectly, and then put the bolts in, drill some holes so that we can put some more bolts in, and then seal with what's called 4200, which is kind of like a silicon putty. We're gonna have to seal that in the gaps and over the top of the bolt holes. So it's always fun working in the rain because at least it gets a bit cooler, but there's also the risk that whatever we're working on ends up underwater. So fingers crossed our rain shelter holds out a little bit longer, and that I've eaten my spinach today because these keels weigh a ton. Yeah, this could be interesting. We got some ideas involving some car jacks and some carpet tiles and some cardboard, and we're gonna try and work something out. Somehow between all of that, we should be able to build an anti-gravity machine, and these things will just float into place. Okay, here's the hard part. So this needs to get there. 1, 2, 3, up. Ah, so close.
It's gonna have to lift out this way and slide up into it, isn't it?
This is ready to go in.
Okay.
I think the bow end needs to come to vertical, needs to come up to straight.
Okay.
Because we're now in the lip here.
Right, yeah.
Let's try and rock it up like that. Does that help?
Yes. Oh, I see the whole thing is like still leaning this way.
It's still leaning pretty bad, yeah.
Whew.
Guys, you're absolute legends.
Thank you so much. So we thought that the hardest part of getting the keels back on was just going to be manhandling them up into place, and then this great idea, 2-car jacks, we would just gradually lift it up and line up the bolts. However, nothing has gone to plan. So we started lifting it up on the car jacks and one of them just sheared and broke. So then we tried like pivoting it with a big plank. The plank nearly broke. So we've borrowed a hydraulic jack, but it only lifts about 1 centimetre at a time. So we're having to gradually lift it and then find some little bits of wood and block it up next to it. And then lift it another centimetre, block it up, lift it another centimetre. So it is testing our patience today, but hopefully we will get it on eventually.
Okay, so it's been an incredibly long day doing this one, but we have got the keel, I think, as high as it's supposed to go, certainly as high as we can get it. Using, I think we might have split a chalking block in two. We used a hydraulic lift and a whole pile of planks of wood and things. And Brenny's just about to drill through the front bolt hole. And that gives us one in the front and one in the back, and then we can start filling in the rest. Hit it!
Made it! See if the bolt fits.
There it is, the proof it's not just fun in the sun.
I'm so bored and I'm so tired.
What is it you're doing?
I'm trying to just seal up all of these holes to stop water getting in and filling up the keel. But then somebody came along and suggested I did it neatly, so I decided taping it all up to get a nice edge. And I forgot how horrible 4200 sealant is to work with, so as soon as you touch it, it just sticks to everything.
And we picked a really attractive black, which is...
Oh yeah, it's really easy to work with and easy to hide when you make mistakes.
So, you've already paused for dinner and it is 9 o'clock at night?
Something like that.
And we started this job at 12.
Yeah.
Who thought lifting your keel and fixing it to your boat would take an entire day?
And there's another one to do.
Oh yeah, catamaran.
It's now day 2 of our keel reattachment project, and it has been going much, much smoother today. We stopped at about 10 o'clock last night because we'd run out of sealant to attach this one. So luckily, we wake up today and the keel is still attached. Hooray, win! Today we managed to find somebody who actually had a hydraulic jack, and with like 4 or 5 guys who were in the yard helping us, we managed to get it on in about 10 minutes rather than 9 hours. So now it's just a case of drilling out all the holes again and putting the bolts in, hoping they fit, and then using up all the entire island's supply of sealant that we've now bought to try and get everything smooth and lovely and shiny, ready to finish off.
So the keels are now on, and last night, quite late into the night, we were sitting underneath here putting this black stuff, which is called 4200. If you've come across it, it's kind of like it's like a silica. It's a kind of goopy black gooey glue, and it's kind of rubbery when you finish it off and it dries. But we discovered a really cool tip which you'd never heard of before, which is if you get we use Dawn dish soap, but dish soap like washing up liquid, make a bottle of that with some water and dip your finger in there, and then you can actually smooth this out without it sticking to your hands. So Bryony had the glorious job of working our way down the whole keel on both sides on just smoothing each of these out and making them perfectly nice and smooth along the keel line. So the bolts are in behind here, tightened up with the nuts. We bought some new bolts to replace some of the older, slightly shorter ones. Angle grind them down, put on the 4200, and now we just have to take the tape off, and then these will be ready to get sanded, a little bit sanded.